Are you addicted? Am I addicted? If so, what are we actually supposed to do about these things? We can actually be addicted to just about anything. Certainly there's some very popular ones like alcohol addiction, addiction to drugs, addiction to pornography. And then there's a whole list of things that might not be on our immediate radar, but can be quite addictive. We can be addicted to shopping, especially online. We can be addicted to constant connectivity to the internet. We can be addicted to cutting or self-abuse activities or patterns. We can even be addicted to being adrenaline junkies. We can't really live without always being having adrenaline pulsing through our veins. So we can be addicted to just about anything. But what actually is an addiction? Well, one possible definition is this. It's a state of compulsion, obsession, or preoccupation that enslaves a person's will or desires. So notice, this is more than just a mere attachment. This has a level of addictive quality. This has an enslavement quality to it. Not just a mere attachment, but it's something more. It has an enslavement quality to it. Typically, to be a real addiction, you have to have at least 3 or more of the following criteria. And they would be a loss of control, compulsive behavior, efforts to stop, loss of time, preoccupation, inability to fulfill obligations, continuation despite consequences, escalation, losses, and withdrawal. So what do we do? And why do we actually turn to our addictions? And how can we seek to overcome them? Well, many reasons, but one illuminating factor I found is this. Addictions are often those things I turn to when I cannot stand my emotional state. Maybe you've heard the acronym HALT, H-A-L-T. Those times when I'm hurt, when I'm angry, when I'm lonely, when I'm tired or fatigued, those are emotional bodily states. And oftentimes our addictions are those things I'm starting to turn to when I can't stand my emotional states. I start to escape my pains, numb my places of shame, and suppress my unexamined desires. So here's the big question. If we have an addiction or addictions, how can we actually seek to live in freedom? So I'm going to list 5 quick things here. The first is you got to acknowledge the problem and the full extent of the problem. So no help can be had unless we acknowledge that it's a real problem and the full extent. You might want to go back to that slide about the 10 capacities or the 10 elements of being an addiction and actually consider each one of those categories on a scale of 1 to 10 and grade yourself. How much of this is actually a problem? At what level of severity? Second step is to be able to acknowledge how much do you actually want to change on a scale of 1 to 10? Because chances are, if you're not at least at a 7 or 8, probably nothing is going to happen. Let's be honest. So in order to move forward to live in freedom, you got to acknowledge the problem, the full extent of the problem, and you have to acknowledge to what level do I actually desire to change. And if it's not at a 7 or 8, probably nothing's going to happen. Third category is to acknowledge before God in prayer, and also at least one person that I find deeply trustworthy. So third part, acknowledge at least before God and at least one person that you deeply trust with this addiction. Do I want to change? I need the power of God to overcome this. And I also need to bring it outside of myself. That's called living in the light. The power of darkness is immediately lessened when I bring it into the light. Fourth thing is to actually eliminate the near occasions of sin or the near occasions of the addiction. What's a near occasion? It might not be the addiction itself. It might not even be sin itself, but it's those circumstances or people or places that when I'm around them or in them or involved with them, I go down the sliding scale towards the addiction. So list them out, and I actually have to seek to avoid them in their entirety. This is just like embracing the suck portion of overcoming an addiction. Final step is to step into life-giving opportunities. Nature abhors a vacuum, and so if you're trying to take out something, it's not going to go very far until you start adding in good things, refreshing things, things that when you get to the end of the day and you've done these things, you can breathe, you're more relaxed, you have more of a vitality in your person. Hopefully, these ascending 5 steps can help you and me if we have any addictions in our life to actually live in the power of the freedom of Jesus. God bless you.